Saturday morning, time to talk technology with our tech expert, Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group. Luis, good morning to you.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Doing pretty good. And it is Car Week. It started last night with the Monterey Classic Car Week kickoff with the historic racing cars on Alvarado Street in downtown Monterey. And it just builds from here, along with all the traffic.
Yeah. I live out near Laguna Seca Raceway. So not only do I get to deal with the traffic, I get to hear all the roarings of cars throughout the week. So it'll be a lot of fun.
And one thing that's interesting is I've been reading on social media this year that law enforcement and the cities are coordinating to really have what we hope is a zero tolerance policy for a lot of the scofflaws that come here and want to use our city streets like it was the Indianapolis 500. So there's going to be a lot of enforcement. And then the other thing that they're doing is they're coordinating with business owners that have large parking lots, like we're talking about Home Depot or In-N-Out Burger, Del Monte Shopping Center, the Target shopping centers in Sand City and Marina and Walmart, and they're talking to them about how to best cordon off their parking lots at night, like after 9 o'clock, when a lot of these social media influencers, they want to show up and spin donuts in the parking lots and crowd the places with their vehicles and cause a lot of problems. And it looks like the authorities are kind of getting out in front of this year and encouraging people to put up fencing. I know Costco and Home Depot are putting up fencing around their parking lot so that at night it will be inaccessible to these groups of people. And apparently the local PDs and the CHP and the SO are all going to be using drones to kind of find out where the hot spots are and then go and respond to those.
Yeah, the technology that we have today really is going to make it difficult for people to do these sorts of things without being caught, at least recorded. I know that all of the law enforcement agencies on the peninsula, almost all of them have a drone unit, and they have some pretty sophisticated drones that can see at night and detect things that 2 years ago you couldn't. So I think it's going to be really difficult for them to get away with things. And I'm really happy that those businesses are cooperating. It'd be easy for them to say, hey, this is an added expense. We don't want to deal with this. But they're going to be good citizens and good neighbors and protect us from a bunch of people that just like to come here and create a lot of fuss and bother for their own entertainment.
And by the way, if you're listening to us and you're driving into town and you've got a fancy car, don't do anything that gets your vehicle towed and impounded, because the impound lot isn't in Seaside, it's not in Monterey, it's not in Marina. The impound lots are down in the Salinas Valley, like in Chular and Gonzales. And they're dirty, messy, nasty places where they're going to tow your car to, and you will pay, I believe the charge is $5 a mile from wherever they hook your vehicle. And by the way, they don't take the short route. They take the long route because I think the tow companies get a piece of the action. So they'll take the longest route possible to tow your car to the impound lot. And once it goes in there, even if you follow the tow truck to get your car off the hook, you pay a full day's storage charge just on principle. And you have to go to whatever agency towed your vehicle. If it's the county sheriff, it's the city of Carmel, PG Monterey, you have to go to that police agency and pay like a $200 processing fee on top of all of the other fees that you're going to pay. And if you've done something really egregious, it's a minimum 30-day impound of your vehicle. And these impound lots are charging like $175 a day, Luis.
Oh my!
So you do the math, and you even pay, even if the impound lot is closed on Saturdays and Sundays, you still have to pay a Saturday-Sunday charge of $175 per day or whatever the going rate is. So point being, don't do something stupid that's going to get your car impounded and towed, because it's going to be super expensive. Because the message that they want to give to people is that if you're coming here to do crazy stuff, you're not welcome, and we are going to make you as unwelcome as we can, and we're going to hit you in the wallet. And that's happened to a few people last year, and they're figuring they're going to get even more people this year.
Wow.
So there's that.
That's why a lot of us kind of stay home as much as possible during car week. It can be crazy out there, but hey, it's a lot of fun, and it's great for economy, and it brings in a lot of money and a lot of good money for charity. So you can't beat that.
Yeah, you got to balance it all out. And we just wish that the bad actors would maybe avoid Monterey and go somewhere else. Hey, speaking of vehicles, you wanted to mention something that you saw that I ran into on social media with one of my vehicles, and it wasn't that I was doing anything crazy. That
was quite the adventure. You got to tell us about that.
Yeah, so I had a radio station client that wanted to install a Starlink satellite internet receiver on their transmitter building, which is up on top of Soledad Peak in South Monterey County. And the road to get up there it's an awful, awful dirt road. It's all dirt, and it's a long, long drive with a lot of hairpins on it. And during the wintertime when it rains, you get these culverts or troughs that are dug into the roadway by the rush of the water coming down the mountain. And there is no effort whatsoever by the site management company that runs the comm site at the top. They do nothing to ever repair the road. Now, that wasn't always the case. There was a situation years ago where the property owner was in charge of maintaining the road, and they would fill in those culverts with dirt and gravel, and the road was a lot easier to get up and down. But myself and another guy were driving up there on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day it was, I think Wednesday, and we hit a spot in the road where one of the ways you have to do it is you have to kind of straddle some of these, because there can be culverts in the middle of the road and on the side, and you're straddling them as you're driving up there. And we got to a spot where we started to slip a little bit and ended up having to go backwards to try and reset, but then we slipped into a culvert, and the truck got stuck about halfway up the mountain. And we ended up walking down about 3 miles, walking down the road to the ranch barn, where we met one of the ranch hands, and he took us up there in a tractor. We rode in a cart in the back of a tractor, and we pulled the vehicle out of the culvert with the tractor. But it was really a hairy experience. And we were supposed to have a 4-wheel drive truck, and the guy that I was working with had arranged to have one. And at the last minute, the rental agency called him and said, "Hey, we're sorry, that truck's not available today." And so we had to try it with my 2-wheel drive vehicle, which I've gone up there before in a 2-wheel drive vehicle with that truck and had not had a problem. But this year, the rains that we had in the winter the last couple of years were bad enough that the culverts in the road are just really, really bad. And it's really now become a 4-wheel drive road.
No, that's too bad. But
yeah,
I'm glad you made it out.
Yeah, so am I. And we're supposed to go back up there in a couple of weeks, and he's already made arrangements to get a 4-wheel drive vehicle in Salinas. So we should be okay the next time we go up there.
Excellent.
All right, so let's dive into a couple of the topics that we have today. Let me see if we'll start first with Microsoft vowing to make Windows 11 fly on only 8 gigs of RAM. And the reason they're going to do that, Louis, is because we're experiencing a RAM memory shortage because of all the data centers that are gobbling up the RAM, right?
Yeah, and what RAM you can find is expensive, especially the larger quantities. So to this point, Windows 11, most of us that sell those systems have recommended that people get at least 16 gigs, if not 32, to really get the processing that you want and the ability of using all the features of Windows 11. But with memory prices going the way that they are, Microsoft has vowed to make the next update of Windows 11, which is essentially every half a year they push out a major update, much more energy and memory efficient, so that you can run it with as little as 8 gigs adequately. So we'll have to see, but that's good news for Windows users. And Apple is doing the same thing with Macs, because it's not just Windows that suffers from high RAM prices. It's any piece of equipment out there, including smartphones, by the way, which is one of the reasons that they're getting more expensive.
Well, you know what? I think I'm still going to wait for the amount of RAM that I want. I'm going to wait for the minimum 16, and if I have to pay a lot more for it, I will.
Yeah, you only do it every few years, right? So why not get what you need?
Hey, let's jump into the next story here, and it's about phishing and fraudulent court email alerts. And you were talking about the fact that some of your clients have been nailed by this, right?
Yeah, so this is a very authentic, realistic-looking email that you get purportedly coming from the U.S. District Court based out of Miami, and it talks about an alternative dispute resolution notice where it targets your company. Your name is out there, like it said, in our case, Alvarez Technology Group, Luis Alvarez, president and CEO, and had my email address. And it said that, I had 10 days to arrange to be at this meeting in Miami and to click in a certain box to view the details. And it looks suspicious enough to me that, one, I don't think a court does business by email, right? There's no way that they can serve you and have any sort of guarantee that you've been served. And the other thing is that some of the wording was a little stilted. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it's a scam that has been reported to the Better Business Bureau. And in fact, the court itself has issued an alert about this false ADR notice that goes out. And we've noticed it hitting several of our clients. It comes from florida.adr.com. And it's a site that if you go to it, it's a site that's designed to phish your credentials So avoid it at all costs and block this domain if you can.
Okay, good advice from Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group. Online, it's alvareztg.com. At AlvarezTG is their X handle. And Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-TEAM. That's 866-784-8326.
All right, and looking ahead to Monday, what are we talking about?
We're going to talk about what it's like working for an AI boss. It might be fun, but probably not very profitable, so tune in.
All right, be sure to join us Monday morning, starting in the 8 o'clock hour here on Power Talk Radio. Luis, thank you so much. Enjoy Car Week, and maybe we'll see you at one of the events that we're at.
Absolutely. Take care, my friend.